Hello, hello, everyone. It's me. It's my face. I am Angie from Byte-Sized Booksmith. And yes, you get to see my face. Everyone's excited. Welcome, welcome. Kate is away, so the mice will play. Who is excited to be here today? I know I am. I see, let's see, who's here? Lindsay, hey. Susie, always a pleasure. Mitchell. I'm so sorry. I can read, I swear. Space, of course, is running stuff in the background. So, well, thank you, Space. The real cat. Hey, cat. Looks like one sarcastic chick. I'm sarcastic too. Hey. Susie, there you are again. Cat again. Emery. Hey, Emery. Jean Luc. Alex. Cat knows what I'm getting ready to talk about. So I think that's why. Oh, hey, Sarah. Nice to meet you. So actually, we weren't sure if the chat was going to work for both my channel and for the Novelcrafter channel, but it looks like apparently it is. Space, just FYI. It's wizard time. Woohoo! Okay. Okay, let's talk about personas. Um, Before I dive in and without looking at the Notion document, what do you think personas are? I'm curious what you guys think that personas are. So pop that in the chat. Let me know. And happy Saturday. I don't see anything yet. I know I'm a little bit ahead of you guys. So, and you might just still be waking up, hopefully getting your coffee. So, what do you think personas are? And you probably are right. Your evil twin. Yeah, I can totally see that. Your writing style. Okay. Yeah, cat. Yeah, that'd totally be cheating. Paul says themes. So it's kind of a little bit of everything. So personas are um they're basically saved instructions in the AI, and it's going to tell it how to behave. And yes, the lag between chat and what I'm saying is incredibly frustrating. So um personas are the cheerful face I put on my work and be nice. Yes, in a ways, 100%. So personas allow you to use your author identity. So your style, your tone, your audience, to impact what the LLM is going to put out. But that's not all. So they can be used for all kinds of things. And let's actually go and we'll pop into my personas. Here we go. So I have one here called bracketed instructions that I snagged from Leonie. And it actually allows me to tell the LLM to do a task. So I also have one here, which I shared with you guys as well, called the M-eraser. M-dashes are kind of like the villain right now in AI. And people don't want the M-dashes to show up in their writing because that means it was written by AI. It doesn't. I used M-dashes back in the day. Let's talk 2006, 2007. M-dashes were still there. Where do you think they got M-dashes from? From the trailblazers back in the day. So that is another way that you can use personas. So personas can be used for picking word choices. So if you have words that you prefer to use, also you can use it for banned phrases. So words you don't want to use. You can also use it to avoid AI-isms. So those are cliches and robotic phrasing. You can also use it for special handling of text, such as those um, placeholders using the brackets, or for formatting and punctuation, such as those M dashes. So M dashes come from the evil LLM gods. Yes, 100%. They are very much the villain. I will tell you, I was in a meeting for my day job, and this salesperson was like, "I'll even write this for you. There won't be any of those evil M dashes in there." And I went off that lady. I was like, "Look here, lady." I was like, "I was using M dashes before you got into this job." So, um, yeah, I kind of M dashes. I love them, but not everyone else loves them. So, unfortunately, hey, welcome, uh, Nutriox. Okay, so uh, personas are a lot like custom instructions in ChatGPT. So, however, when you are using ChatGPT's custom instructions, and I will tell you this, I use them all the time. I always have my custom instructions going whenever I'm in ChatGPT. But you don't have to cram everything into just one persona. So you're able to actually run multiple personas at one time, and they can handle different tasks. So, for instance, you can have an author persona running. You can have one for a style or formatting. And then you can even have an AI-ism remover or filter persona running at the same time. So you can have multiple personas running at one time. You just want to make sure you're not going to run two that are going to conflict with each other. So definitely you don't want to do more than one author persona at one time. And we will talk about what author personas are here shortly. So before we move on, does anyone have any questions about what a persona actually is? Okay, awesome. You guys, A plus, stars all across the board. We're going to go ahead and move on into why would you want to use a persona or more than one persona? So, personas are going to help you because they're going to help you save time. You're not going to have to continue to repeat the same instructions over and over. Um, Also, it allows you. So Dank says, so personas take the place of sections of my old prompts. Yes, 100%. So, but it depends on where those prompts are being used. So there are a couple different places where you can use prompts. And you can also have your personas be available to different places. So it kind of sort of depends, but we'll get to that here shortly. But that's a really, really good statement there. So yes, you can replace some sections of your old prompts. Okay, let me get back to my notes. And that's what I'm looking at, by the way. Notes. Hi. I'm blinding myself with my lights. Okay. So they personas are going to help you to separate your author brands or pen names to maintain consistency and make sure that they're distinct. So, how many of you guys have multiple pen names? And I have to raise my hand. I have like 10. So, I'm an overachiever. I have like 10 pen names. How many of you guys have multiple pen names? Absolutely, Alex. You can use a persona in world building to establish the tone of your novel. 100%. So if you have multiple pen names, you probably have multiple audiences. You probably have different things that you include into novels or stories. All the pen names, yeah, you have, um, you know, Mitchell says he has 3, or Mitchell says they have 3. My apologies. Emery has 2. Yes. Alex has two. It allows you to stay on brand. And what do I mean by staying on brand? Um, it means you don't chase things that don't necessarily align with that specific brand. So let's say that sports romance is really hot right now. Okay. Specifically, hockey romance. And you are someone who writes sweet romance. Um, Hockey romance may not be a good fit for you because the reasons that people read these hockey romances are because of the alpha male who's incredibly possessive and the hot and steaminess that's happening in the background. So, as a sweet romance author, that's not going to align with your brand. So, personas where you have put information about your author or your brand, author brand or your pen name are going to help you from making those decisions that may not be the best for your pen name. They also help you to maintain some consistency in your voice and your style across multiple projects. Okay. Um, and then this is actually primarily the job, and we will talk about prose style guides again. It's primarily the job of the prose style guide, but what the persona can do is it can support you and double down on the most important parts of your style. Mitchell says, I'm working on a steampunk cozy fantasy. I hope to use a persona to keep on task, track brand. 100%. Okay. So the persona can also help guide the AI away from AI-isms, poor formatting choices, because it does make lots of poor choices, and other bad habits that come from the training data. Authors make some poor choices, and they always will. You know, as we as a society continue to go further and further and achieve, some of those choices are no longer, let's say, they're looked down upon. But it's already encoded in the training data for the LLM. And so we have the sun rising, we have the sun going down, we have all kinds of other silliness. Your heart is beating, or the chill going down your spine, and all those other craziness. So we can actually, even before it gets on the page, let the LLM know that, hey, we don't like that mess. We don't want it in our prose. You can also use it to enforce specific rules, like I said, with spelling, punctuation, word choice. If you're having a hard time getting it to be consistent with your British English, your Australian English, you can include it in there too. But more or less, you're going to use it as modular instructions that you can mix and you can match as you need. And last thing, again, back to that whole quality thing. You want to make sure that your output has guardrails. So if there are things that you don't want to discuss in your stories, you can make sure that those guardrails are on and that you don't go into that direction. So if you don't want there to be highly sensual language, you can make sure there's no highly sensual language. If you want the language to be also hot, you can definitely steer it in that direction. But that is going to be kind of a combination of both the prose style guide and the persona. So start with the prose style guide. And if you're not getting what you want, that's when you want to put up the heat, definitely with your persona. So I'm going to pause for a moment. We are going to run into how personas are different than a preset. But I'm going to give you guys a second to put in any questions you have. And I've got to up the pace here because we want to play and create some personas. Okie dokie. Just keep the questions coming as you have them, and then we will address them. Okay. So, how is a persona different than a preset? Now, this is a question I've actually never had, but apparently it's a question that you guys have had pretty often, and to the fact that there is even a knowledge document about it. So a persona is a instruction set that runs in the background. So it can be available through all prompts, um, and you can make it available in certain projects, or you can have it available throughout your entire account. This little the little globe means that it is a global persona. So anytime I am working on any story, it is actually going to be in effect, depending on how I have it set up, like whether it's, hold on, going to be a scene week completion, text replacement, scene summarization, or workshop chat. So anything I'm in, if I'm doing scene week completion or text replacement, bracketed instructions are going to be in effect. It doesn't matter which project, which book, it's always on. Okay. A preset, however, is a saved version of a specific prompt that has either custom instructions in it or that you've personalized in some way. So let's say, for instance, you have a general purpose preset that tells it to write in, that you're a writer who likes, talking about balloon animals. I don't know. No idea where that came from, but hey, I'm an author, and maybe my main character is a balloon animal shifter. Okay. No, not gonna, no judgment there, but it is what it is. Or maybe you like unicorn shifters, or I don't know. I can't think of anything good off the top of my head. Apparently, I should not be allowed in public. My apologies. Okay, so personas are for global rules. So they help with your voice, banned words, and formatting standards. Presets are for task-specific workflows. So you want to, when you're writing prose, have 1,000 words for each beat. You are speaking in Klingon when you're writing this prose. When you replace the prose, you want to replace it with French. I don't know. Now, personas also can be run simultaneously. So you can have multiple personas running at one time. However, with presets, you can only use one at a time. Does that make sense? So, best practice, you use personas to be consistent. You use presets for the purpose of convenience. So instead of having to go in and pick that I want 400 words and I want to use this specific LLM every single time when I'm writing prose, I have a preset. So I don't have any personas like that. Does that make sense? How personas are different than presets? Yeah, no? I'll give you a minute. Are you guys still alive? And Susie says, I want a Mabel persona. You 100% need a Mabel persona. Mabel is amazing. Okay, let us continue. So, I'm glad you're taking notes. And I hope also that the notes on Notion are also helpful as well. So I really wanted you guys to be able to kind of sit with this. Oh, One sarcastic chick. I would like to go back to this balloon animal shifter concept. 100%. Yeah. I can't help myself sometimes. I'm a hot mess. Okay. So let's move on to how a persona is different than a prose style guide. Okay. And I had, again, had never thought they get these two things confused, but apparently it is a common question. So a prose style guide is where you define the full scope of your writing style for your project. So I could even very quickly show you some prose style guides if you would like. Okay, great. So let's go to my novels, and we'll have to make this quick because I really do want to get in there and play. So this is Return to Sender. This is the one that I just finished streaming. We did 16 weeks. I got about halfway done with it, but I just can't do anymore. Yeah, I've got 125 codex entries. This thing is massive. Hold on. Okay, so here's the prose style guide for this. So your prose style guide can include elements such as POV and tense. So yes, you definitely are going to put the POV in a Novelcrafter, but I am a control freak to the bitter end, and I make sure that my POV and my tense are 100% in my prose style guide. I am a believer in prose style guides, okay? I'm also going to have my voice and my tone. Do I use the same prose style guide for everything? No. Every single prose style guide is going to be very different, because I always have information specific to that project in my prose style guide. If you have specific prose guidelines for you as an author, you could 100% put that possibly in a persona, but it's a possibility that it could conflict with your prose style guide as I keep hitting my mic. So I would watch that, test it out before you went down that road. Okay. Dialogue conventions. How do these people talk? Okay. Especially if you're going to try to have someone who has, an unusual accent. You definitely want to put things about dialogue, language and style rules, rhythm and pacing, sensory detail, internal dialogue. Like, how do you set off when someone is talking in their head? How do you even set off if someone is talking to another person in their head? So, if they have some sort of, the ability to talk mentally with other people, I had to figure out in one of my projects how I was going to have a conversation between my character and a kraken. Like, how did they communicate with each other, and how did that look to the audience so they could tell that it wasn't internal monologue for my actual character, but it was actually her speaking to the kraken. And that was actually last year during Halloween. I did that one. Let's see. Character voice and diction. Again, I've already kind of touched on that a little bit. Do they have a lisp? Also, one I didn't put on this list that is also important is, how do they communicate without speaking? So what's body language? So nonverbal communication. Do they like to talk with their hands too? As you know, I keep hitting my damn mic. Okay, so formatting rules. So is there any specific formatting rules? Again, that kind of goes back to how you format certain things in your story. Do you use em dashes or do you not? Thematic integration. How does your theme show up in your writing? Do's and don'ts. You can have just very general, do this thing, don't do this thing. Also, I have scene structure. Like, what does my scene need to look like? Um, you know, I start with a hook. I end with either a cliffhanger or something to, make sure. Note, Angie likes to hit her mic. Yeah, you don't want to get between me and my mic. I'm just saying that. um, humor guidelines. Okay. I just did this match point mayhem that is going to at some point come out and be available as a sample codex. Um, but it's a sports romance comedy, and I have in there what I consider to be humor and what kind of humor I want to see come out in my prose. Word choice preference. This goes beyond, the AI-isms to, what kind of word choices should I be making? And this kind of leans into the next one, which is heat level guidelines. So, are they able to cuss? Word choice. Heat level. What do we call the certain parts? Um, so all of that kind of all works together. And that is what I will have in my prose style guide. So a persona, however, is not a replacement for a prose style guide. You are going to use that to reinforce what you have in your prose style guide. So you use it to double down on specific instructions that the AI tends to ignore. So I had this brilliant idea after I did all of that work for the Dead and Delivered series. I was like, Angie, you're a moron. You should have done a persona for writing action beats, the dialogue with action. Because I cannot stand having she said, he said, all that other garbage. It drives me nuts. So I should have created a persona for that. So we're going to do that hopefully here shortly. So just as a quick example, so a style guide would define first person present tense with snappy dialogue, whereas a persona would remind the LLM never use adverbs ending in ly, and to avoid using M dashes. So that's a very specific case or example. So in closing on this one, your prose style guide is your comprehensive set of stylistic rules for your prose, whereas your persona is focused always on reminders to enforce your non-negotiables. So what is non-negotiable in your prose style guide? Double down on it using a persona. Okay, I'm going to take a quick drink of water. Talk amongst yourselves. I know I blew your minds. And I got to catch up on the chat too. Is there a limit to the codex entry? I think Kat answered that question. I have entries that are like 3,000 words. So it depends on which LLM you're using, of course. Make sure you have honestly only what you need. I could talk about codex entries for days. Let's see. Yeah, there is really no technical limit on on those. Let's see. Angie likes to hit her mic. Yes, 100%. Okay, let's move on to the different types of personas. I feel like I'm falling behind, but I feel like a lot of this is important, and I want to make sure that you guys understand this. So the types of personas. So there is an author or pen name persona. I actually have my personas in ChatGPT as GPTs. However, I have them copied over as well into Novelcrafter as well, if I wish to use them there. But one persona per pen name or author identity. It's going to contain, your writing voice, your tone, your audience, your brand rules. And you also only want to Run one at a time to avoid having conflicts, because otherwise you're going to have, I talk like this, I talk like this, and guess what? It's all a big mess. Fuzzy Otter says, I thought my average of 1K words per entry is a lot. Oh, no, it's not. And as the LLMs get bigger and we have more context, it's going to become even easier and easier to have longer entries. But you still want to keep with what's most important. If I want to write in another language, do I put the instructions in that language or English? I would put the examples in the other language, because if you're doing like a prose style guide, or if you're doing an example in your persona, I would 100% put those in that language. But as far as writing, the other input, I don't necessarily think it needs to be in that language. So if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on to functional personas. So these are going to be either utilities or instructional personas. They do a specific job. This is like the bracketed instructions, the M-eraser. They have one thing that they are responsible for, whereas like the Angie Hartwell persona talks about all kinds of stuff. And this isn't even in my full persona. My persona is massive. And it has documents. So that's another reason I haven't put it in here yet. We'll work on that. So examples, the AI-ism filters, formatting rules, and special handling. So you can run several of these at one time, these functional personas. However, you can really only run one author or pen name persona at a time. Now, there are other types of personas out there, and I don't necessarily think that you would want to potentially use them in Novelcrafter, because there are other personas you can put in your custom instructions in ChatGPT. You can also put them in the project settings for Claude or ChatGPT if you use ChatGPT projects. Or if you use them in actually here in workshop chat, a lot of my instructions actually have personas in them as well. Don't get them confused. They're not the same thing. But you have professional personas. So this is an example right here. You are a helpful expert plot assistant to a novel author. That is actually a persona right there. But it's part of a prompt. So I probably just confused everybody. I apologize. But so other personas that I have outside of Novelcrafter, I've got a life coach prompt. I've got a brand strategist. And anyone who knows me knows I have developmental editors, like hundreds of developmental editors that I have written. And then there's also, you can have artistic style personas as well. Now, this is one that I have also done for ChatGPT in the past. And I can use it for image generation and projects where I have text and images. So those are just other types of personas that aren't what we're talking about. But I did want to make you sure you knew what, that they were out there. Okay. We're going to keep going. Fudge. Okay. I still got 3 more to go. Should I have a persona for each of my pen names? I say yeah. So if you write under multiple pen names, you should have a dedicated persona for each of those pen names, because it helps you to capture the voice, the tone, and your brand identity. It helps you not mix up the styles. And by you, I also mean you or the LLM. You don't want to mix your styles. It also can help you as the author stay in character for your brand, because your pen name is honestly its character. And it's easy to get them mixed up if you are trying to be multiple characters at one time. That makes sense. Um, let's see. I think I just kind of doubled down on that in the rest of my notes. Make sure you only use one author or pen name persona at a time to make sure you're not conflicting with yourself, because that's just weird. Okay, and I already said that. Okay. Can you create a persona to avoid AI-isms? 100%, and we're actually going to do that here in a few minutes. Um, so this is one of the more practical uses for a persona. Um, and AI-isms, if you are not familiar, I'm sure all of you are. They are patterns from the LLM models due to uh, the training data. So they include cliches like "little did they know," "with a heavy heart," "that chill going up your spine." Um, let's see. There's a lot of other ones that have kind of fallen off. We've also got overused structures. So suddenly, before he could react, those are things that you'll get quite often. Um, Labeling the emotion instead of showing the emotion. So she felt sad or he felt angry. Breath hitch, definitely. Um, Recycled names. If any of you have ever watched any of my videos, I complain about Sarah and Marcus and Lyra, and the last names Thompson, Chen, Thorne, um, White Knuckles, definitely. Location, Willow Creek. I mean, I actually set something in Willow Creek on purpose, just as a joke. And I think I was the only one laughing at that point. But yeah, you never want Willow anything, to tell you the truth. You want to avoid. Oh yes, Emery, I know, I know your favorite AI-isms. Precision right now is like that, and the word like corporate precision and military precision and all of these precisions. It was driving me nuts while I was writing my last project. Like Claude and I, yeah, we're not chilling. Writhe was the word before in the project before that one. Every time I turned around, something was writhing. So it's not always the same. You're definitely going to need to go in there and update. Pretty mechanical precision, 100%. Like, stop, or it hit me. Like that one. And there is a Willow Creek not very far from where you live. That's hilarious. There's actually for the company I work for, um, we have several customers who are in Willow Creek. I think it's like California. And I laugh every single time I see it. So with your persona, you can actually tell it to avoid these words. You can't explicitly ban it, to tell you the truth, but words hit like a punch, 100%. You can tell it, hey, I want you to avoid these. They're going to show up less. They will still show up, but they'll show up definitely much less. So you can also tell the LLM what you want it to do instead. So avoid summarizing emotions, show feelings through action or body language or internal thought. So favor strong verbs over adverbs ending in ly, and do not use these names. There's one in Texas. I grew up in Houston, so those are my old stomping grounds. Okay. And because they run in the background, they are always active, so you don't need to continue to repeat them in all of your prompts. So you live in Willowdale and you created a fictitious golf course there? Well, get it. I'm just telling you that it's one of those words. Willow Creek, especially when we first started, and we had that back in the day, all of 2023. We had that 8K context in Chat GPT 3. Those were the days, guys. Those were the days. We've come so far. Okay. When and where do you use a persona in Novelcrafter? This is our last big thing before we start playing in the program. So we have a couple of different places, and then actually you can see it right here. So we can use them in scene beat completion. So that's when you're actually writing prose. You can use it in text replacement. So whenever you select words in the right section, and then you use any of those different prompts that are available there. You can use it in scene summarization. So if you come here to plan, which this one doesn't have anything. Oops. We'll go to this one. If you come here to scene summary, it will actually apply here. And then get back to where I was. Workshop chat. So that's the last place where you can use these personas. So you can choose to apply personas to all of your projects, to everything that you do. And that's when you have this little global icon here. So you're also able to pick specific projects or series to apply them to as well. So if you have a persona for X pen name wrote this series, then you can apply it to just the series from that pen name. That way you don't have to remember, do I have the right one running? And then you also have the ones that are more kind of utilities where you can apply to all of the things. Okay. As an author, I will tell you that I will run all my utilities pretty much all the time. I very rarely use my author persona. That is just who I am. I tend to rely on my dev editors because I have like a million dev editor prompts. Let's see. And whether or not you have a pen name persona or hang on, I lost my train. Okay. So kind of back to so when to use your author persona, when to use your functional personas. But it all comes down to you. Space says that she uses her author persona in chat a lot. 100% depends on you. It depends on your workflow. It depends on your goals for your project and how much or how little you want to use AI to come up with your plots, to come up with your outlines, to come up with your prose in your editing and your marketing. Like you can use it at every single step of the process. It just depends upon how much or how little you want to use. So, my key takeaway for you on this is to experiment with it and see where in your process it works best for you. Use it there. And in the places it doesn't work for you, don't use it. There is no rule as far as that goes. So, okay. All of the talky is over. We are now going to build some personas. I will tell you though, down here, down, in the Notion document, I actually have a chat prompt for you. I wrote this right after the personas became a thing for my community. And it actually is a chat prompt that will help you to build a persona. So this is to build you an author or pen name persona. And then I also gave you my M-eraser as well. So if you want to play with it, it is not 100%. It will reduce the number of M dashes, but it will not completely take them away. I will tell you that. One last thing that I want to tell you before we move on is if you notice that your personas are not getting the attention that they deserve in your prompts, let's go to one of my prompts. We'll go to AI Buster. Hold on. make sure they are near the bottom of your prompts. Make sure your personas are one of the last things that the LLM sees before they execute your prompt. That will make sure that um, it has a little bit more emphasis, is maybe the word I'm looking for. Typically, the last thing that the LLM reads gets a little bit more emphasis. So, or at least that's how it used to work. So, who the heck knows what happens in the mind of the robot of words? Okay, so we're going to create 2 prompts. I don't think we have time for more, unfortunately. So the first one we're going to create is called a cliche killer. The cliche killer is going to help you get rid of AI-isms, cliches, and tired phrasing. And then the second one we're going to create is actually called action beats or action beat dialogue, whatever you want to call it. And that is how to make sure that um, when you're writing, you're getting no dialogue tags. You're only getting action beats for your dialogue. SA says, do you have the name of the persona or can you list like you have them here? The name of the persona. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Oh, like this? Okay. I think I understand what you're asking now. So it's going to be automatically included depending upon how you have the persona itself set up. All you have to do is make sure that the phrasing that is here is here. So this means include the personas. Does that make sense? So if I want to include personas, I need to make sure that this is included in my prompt. And if I wasn't clear, please ask. And I think one of the others can jump in and answer. Yes, system prompts definitely already have them in them, if that makes sense. They're definitely in the system prompts. And I will quite often use a system prompt as kind of a starting point for when I create other prompts. Okay, awesome. I'm glad you got that. Okay. I really want to get this done. Okay, so let's go here. You can either come up here to new and come here to persona, or you can just come here to persona and hit the plus sign. First thing we got to do is we got to give it a name. So let's give it a name of the cliche killer. I was going to be a cliche myself and call it cliche with a K. But I was like, yeah, I'm talking to authors that they probably tried to run me off with pitchforks. So note that I named it and then I clicked out of that box and that will save it. So I want to write prose without falling into AI-isms, cliches, or tired phrasing. And gotta fix that. Okay. So personas are like plugins. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that, Robert. And you can take them and apply them, or you can have them not apply. This website over here, I have all of these plugins. This website over here, I have these other plugins, but they're all websites. Yeah, is that where we were going with that? I don't know if we were talking about pseudo-write because I don't know pseudo-write anymore. It's been so long. Okay. So we want to completely avoid using the words and phrases in the avoid list. Okay. I'm glad I was speaking your language because sometimes I never know. Okay. So completely, and we'll actually call this a void list like this. I also want to generate, Angie can't spell, fresh, specific, and original prose. And I also want to keep the writing immersive and natural. Okay, now I'm going to give it the avoid list. And that is going to be from my snippet here. I have a snippet called avoid. It's got names, it's got words, it's got Martinez, Lyra, Sarah, Rodriguez, Thompson, all of those people. They are in my list. Avoid list. Okay. And let me think. The only other thing that I normally would do in this situation is that I would include an example, but I don't know that we have time for that. I'm going to go ahead and give this put that in a bullet list, just so it doesn't get confused. Let's give this a bullet list too. We're going to test this. I've not done this. I'm sorry, I've not used this one yet. So okay. As soon as I click out of it, it's saved. Okay. Now, down here, again, I can choose where I want it to apply. I can have it apply to all my novels, which is what it is right now, or I can have it in specific series. But one thing I do have to do is I have to make sure that it applies to a specific thing. So I definitely want it to apply to beat completion. And I definitely want it in workshop chat as well, because when I am creating names and stuff inside of workshop chat, I want to make sure that I'm not creating people with the name of Mara, because that actually, was that on that list? It's getting me right now with that name. So we'll actually say like a physical blow. And we'll add Mara, because it just hit me with that one like 3 times. And I can kind of see, yeah, in text replacement, I don't want that either. So anytime I'm actually inside the prose, I'm having it, doing any kind of edits, I want to make sure that those words aren't in there. Okay. So now we have a cliche killer. Actually, I was like, I could write, but I won't have enough time to create another persona. So let's go ahead. We'll create the other persona. I'll give this to you, and you guys can test it and see if it actually works. I usually test this stuff before I get a chance to play with it. Is there a way to inject prompt instructions? Could you be a little bit more specific? Because, yeah, kind of. Well, prompt instructions, not really. Actually, you want to have the prompt and then have this help the prompt, if that makes any sense. So you're calling this into your prompt and saying, hey, do this thing. I wouldn't do it the other way around. I don't think it wouldn't work that way. Okay, so action beats dialogue. And we'll learn that Angie doesn't know how to spell dialogue. Okay. I'm sorry, Robert. I'm going to need a little bit more clarification. Okay. When writing dialogue, use action beats only, no dialogue tags allowed. encourage the use of body language, facial expression, interaction with the setting. I know it's painful to watch me type. I'm so sorry. And emotion shown physically. Okay. And again, this is definitely another one where you would want to test this before you use it. Maybe add a little bit more. Definitely use examples in this one. I actually do have some examples. Here we go. Go ahead and add that. Now you can use either Markdown or you can use XML. I will say I don't know anything about XML, so you will not see me using it. Instead of this, use this. Okay, what happens if you specify you want subtext in most tense dialogue? Dialogue. Words are the surface tale and the subtext is the real message, like James Bond talking to the antagonist in public. So you can include subtext. You can include subtext, I think, in your pro style guide if you were wanting to. I don't normally call it out specifically. I probably should. But I think you could probably create something like this for subtext as well. Okay. Okay, we are right at the hour. I feel like I feel like we've covered it pretty well. Any questions? Yes, now is your time for more questions. And I can definitely, if you guys have any questions, for those of you who couldn't make it, hi. Please be sure to leave comments. I will try to pay attention. I wouldn't mind the LLM building in the subtext, just making sure it knows I want subtext. I can think of a lot of ways to do subtext, and it kind of gets away from actually putting it in a persona. I would definitely have to play with it and see, because I'm like, oh, I could put subtext in here. I could put subtext in, kind of like kid in a playground sort of thing. I'm gonna write that in really big letters. Subtext. I always forget about subtext, to tell you the truth. I know I'm a bad author. Any other questions? Concerns? Dance party? This is why I don't usually put my picture, is because, again, I talk by hands, and I also occasionally have like a dance party happening. Ask the people in my community. They probably think I'm nuts. Oh, you're very welcome. One sarcastic chick said, no questions, but thanks for hosting. Absolutely. I know I did a stream last year with Kate, and we did a sweet romance. We never got a chance to start writing it though. Maybe we'll do it again. when she comes back. You're very welcome. Dance party, yeah. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Definitely, if you have any questions, please leave them below. Um, knowing that you can have multiple personalities is awesome. Yes, 100%. And keeping your multiple personalities straight, so you don't get them confused. Please do more. I do have a channel. You guys are more than welcome to check out. Byte-Sized Booksmith as well. And there, I have a community. I'm also in the Novelcrafter community, so feel free to at me. I will definitely answer questions there too. I love to help out my friends over at Novelcrafter. It is my favorite um, program for writing. So, and yeah, I've been using it since beta. It's been a minute. And also make sure you think in the background, we've got space as well. Leonie is making sure that we don't do anything bad while Kate's away. Okay, guys. So let's wrap this up. I will talk to you all later. Happy writing.